Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM. My name is Amit Chanak. I'm joined by Adebo Boduri and Abulo Semwagu. The first of the two-day public holiday in Nigeria starting today, even though the fast will continue up till this today, as it were. Starting of the moon to be hopefully this evening. The president will be concluding his state visit to United Kingdom. He will be meeting with the United Kingdom's Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister. And back home, the service chiefs he asked to move over to Maiduguri has done so, and revelations coming from statements they have been making right there in Borno State. The chief of defense staff telling Nigerians that they're reminding Nigerians again that indeed the terrorists have very advanced technologies. They deploy drones and other technological devices in the activities, nefarious activities in the Northeast. And so what should happen? We should go higher. If they are at mid-level, we should go at highest level. That's why we're insisting on increased funding for the military, and the military using the funds allocated to them to procure equipment. If the terrorists can get drones, the Nigerian government should get super drones, even if it's the type the Iranians are using in the Middle East, hitting targets and all that. But let me welcome my colleagues as CAM returns to Borno, and indeed the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, visited there also yesterday.
Thank you, Amishi. Good morning to Abulu in the studio, and I say big hello to our listeners and viewers on the YouTube. Let me begin by at least commending the Vice President, although for me it was late, but it's better done. It's better late than never done. That he proceeded to Maiduguri yesterday, as we raised on this program, to not just to commiserate. He also went with some government officials, perhaps maybe a few things. The DG of NEMA and all the rest, maybe visual assistance will be extended to the victims. Very commendable, but it should not end at that. I have said several times that I get worried that our resort to lamentation on the issue of insecurity is something that we should put an end to. Lamentation is not helpful. It's not helping the nation to confront the monster called insecurity. And so steps has to be taken. And like I said on this program yesterday, if the insurgents have access to drones and other sophisticated weapons, it eventually means they are getting serious funding. And the issue of sponsors must not be something that we will just be promising we are going to look for them or what. Is that it's a deep-rooted problem, and deep-rooted problem of be confronted with deep intelligence gathering that will help us to expose those who are sponsoring them. They are getting funding. They are feeding victims they abduct or kidnap. They are feeding themselves. They are paying themselves money. Where are these funds coming from? Where are they getting money to procure arms? Where are they getting money to buy drones? These are issues that we must confront as a nation. If it's going to 2 decades that we have been confronting insurgency in the Northeast, I think it's too long. It's no longer something that I think we should be playing with. It's not something that we should be promising we will end. I was in Maiduguri on the day the leader of Boko Haram was reported he died, and then the aftermath of it, the burning of ministries, buildings, and all over the place. And since then, peace has been unsettled in the Northeast. We must work hard to restore peace where peace has been unsettled. That is the only way as a nation that we can claim that we have capacity, we have the competence and capability to deal with the monster of insecurity in the country.
Amici, it's really sad commentary for Nigerians home and abroad. a day before the president traveled to see the king, you having bomb blasts in Maiduguri. Those days in 2019, I was at the Maiduguri. I attended a function by presidential initiative on the Northeast, and while we were at the airport, we had bomb blast, and our flight was delayed for about 2 hours. That is the experience I felt. The trauma is still there with me. Each time I'm traveling to that part of the country, I not talk about people that were there, those that saw the bomb blast dropping, and what have you. As the Balogo has said, we do not have to keep lamenting. What must be done? Who are the sponsors of these terrorists? We hear that the chief of army, the minister of defense, is saying that there are infiltrators in government, and that is not new. The Abacha of these days, of yesteryears, have said it, that insecurity persists beyond 48 hours. We have insiders. The insiders, we don't know where they are from. Are they from the state level? Are they from the federal level? Are they from regional level? Are they from continental level? Where are they coming from? How did they manage to infiltrate the Nigerian system? And we are having reckless killing of reckless abandon. Those terrorists we hear, understand, used drones for those 3 bomb blasts the other time. And I tried to check and to verify and understand that you cannot access attack drones without the express permission or licensing of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and the Nigerian military. You cannot access
the Office of the National Security
Advisor. Yes, those 3 of them. You cannot access attack drones. So how now, before those military equipment can come into Nigeria, the Nigerian Defense Military in Kaduna, I've forgotten the name, must grant licenses for any equipment to be imported into the territory of Nigeria. How did these terrorists get this equipment to come into Nigeria? Or did they do precision aiming from outside the shores of Nigeria? Where are they operating from? So a lot of work needs to be done. We have said this severally, that what happens to the investment in Nigerian military in technology? Why are we not hearing that Nigerian military have used drones and we're hearing terrorists have used drones? It's really sad.
And we are appropriating trillions for the military every year. What are they spending the money on?
The Nigerian government has gone into partnership with Turkey military to support the military in fighting insurgency. We see the U.S. Army, the U.S. government also sending some men, boots on ground to assist. Yet we still see this. Could it be that the terrorists understand the strategies of the Nigerian government, kinetic and non-kinetic approaches, and they try to tackle it and put shame on their faces? Or could it be that when they decide the strategies, there's an insider that leaks this to them? Nigerians are dying.
Okay.
And it's not a good commentary at all.
Good enough. The president, who we're told, has said will buy more military equipment.
It's not enough to buy, Amici. It's not enough to buy.
We have been buying, and they should buy more. It's not a good, like you said, it's not a good commentary that there will be reports that the terrorists have acquired drones, and what do we do? They illegally acquire this, and we have the money. We can go to the arms market legally to indeed get this equipment. Where is the problem? Is it that monies are not being released, or they are released but used for other things? And we have advised the military, as much as we recognize the sacrifices you're making, you have to direct your expenditure to procurement of equipment. What you owe the troops on the boots on ground, training and equipment. Once they are well trained and they are well equipped, that's the highest welfare you can do to them. Paying allowances and all other ones are secondary. So we shouldn't hear that they are better equipped than us. So many persons have said it in the past. So many highly placed persons in government have come out to say they're even better armed. It's a shame, a big shame on every one of us that these ragtag terrorists will be better armed. It's not that they are better armed. We know the equipment our military have, but we need to deploy them in such a way that it would really get rid of them out of the shores of Nigeria. 16, 17 years now, and we are still battling Boko Haram. Our children, the next generation will come up, continuing the fight from where we left it. It's not quite good. And let's quickly bring in the males now. The ladies are here. The very beautiful ladies who have in the house. Richa and Chidera, Let's share some of the mails we have with you. And indeed, after that, we'll be going to London for the president's visit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amechi. Good morning, Nigerians. You're now listening to the mail segment on Political Platform. I am Aricha Ujiti.
And I am Chidera Izudoyi. Our first mail is coming from Abuja, and Emeka says, news has it that President Tinubu, who is far away on a state visit to the United Kingdom, while his country is on fire, has ordered the service chiefs to relocate to Borno State because of the multiple bomb blasts that killed scores and festering insecurity in that part of the country. And I ask, to do what exactly? What different architecture or approach will that bring to the table? We have had that before, and little or nothing was achieved. This is only reactionary and amounts to crying when the head is off. The Chief of Defense Staff was seen telling the residents that such occurrence will never happen again. And I ask, how? With what measures on ground? When we have hundreds of the so-called repentant terrorists reintegrated into the society and working for the insurgents in intelligence gathering and other menacing ways like suicide bombing. Whoever sold this suicidal idea of repentant terrorists or believes in it are the enemies of this country and should be locked away. Sheikh Gumi and some other northern leaders, including governors, have told us times without number that the insurgents, their camps, their homes, their parents, siblings, and relatives are well known. So until the government of the day tells themselves the truth and do the needful that is expected of them, instead of playing the ostrich and chasing shadows, criminals will keep having the upper hand.
Amechi Ubuchi, writing from Kubwa, Abuja, says, the Chief of Defense Staff, Olufemi Oluyede, after a high-level security meeting in Maiduguri yesterday, raised fresh concerns about internal complicity in a prolonged insurgency in the northeast. He called on residents of Borno State and Yobe State to take ownership of the fight against terrorism, while hinting at a strategic shift from purely kinetic military operations to a more community-driven counterinsurgency approach, as Nigeria continues to grapple with threats from Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP. While this perspective coming from a decorated Nigerian Army general may seem commendable, it raises critical questions. How exactly are already vulnerable communities expected to take ownership of the fight against terrorism? These are people who live under constant threat. Reporting suspicious activities can cost them their lives, while silence often leads to abduction or worse. It is difficult to understand how civilians with no protection or adequate support are expected to confront heavily armed insurgents, armed at best with rudimentary tools, why the CDS operates from the relative safety of Abuja under heavy security. If indeed the Chief of Defense Staff has exhausted all viable strategies, it would be more appropriate to acknowledge this and step aside rather than shift the burden of national security onto already embattled rural communities.
In the same line, Noble Collins is saying, I recently read a Daily Post report from March 18th, 2026, in which one Sheikh Khalil quoted some statements by one of the most reverend, loyal fathers in Nigeria, the Sultan of Sokoto, questioning President Bola Tinubu about the status of the former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, advocating for his fair trial or release if there is no lawful ground for his prosecution. I stand with the Sultan on that, 100%, because no one deserves injustice, regardless of their standing with anyone, even those in authorities. So if Erufai has a case to answer, please due process in line with our constitution should be accorded him. However, according to reports, another quoted comment by the Sultan on the US military presence in Nigeria really got me intrigued, as he seems to suggest that northern Nigeria isn't suitable for a US military base, asking why must it be established in northern Nigeria? This raises one pressing question for me. The North already hosts various military training institutions, including that of the Navy, despite not being a coastal region. Therefore, given that singular fact, assuming there is no other reason even, what then is the rationale behind deeming the North unsuitable for a military base, whether foreign or local?
Away from that, Audu Liberty Oseni, PhD, is that in Nigeria, an elite class that is largely compromised, self-serving, and silent in the face of urgent national emergencies. Leaders are protected for personal gain, narrow interests take precedence over public good, and ordinary Nigerians are left hopeless. The result is widening social inequalities and a stagnant nation. A compromised elite class erodes the foundation of good governance, justice, and development. The country suffers because elites wield disproportionate influence but use it for themselves rather than for society. Where nations have improved lives and safeguard citizens, it is because the elites prioritize public welfare over personal gain and justice over privilege. The lesson is clear. When elites serve society, the nation thrives. Until Nigerian elites reclaim their purpose, the country will continue to drift, not led by vision, but by the whims of those who care only for themselves.
And finally, from Lagos, Ugochukwu Godwin says, I am enthused by the judgment of the Federal High Court in Warri, stating that citizens have the right to record police officers while on duty. This is significant and will lead to accountability. Policemen are public officers and should not continue to harass citizens because they feel untouchable with guns. Pass through some bars in Lagos, you will see policemen with guns drinking and smoking during working hours, but it is against the law of Lagos to smoke in public gathering. Those who should hold offenders liable are the lawbreakers, because many have died, molested, and huge sum of monies lost through police harassment on our roads. It is time police start wearing body cams to minimize the use of maximum force. And if this is done, bad eggs will leave and those who truly like the profession will illuminate the force. I urge the IGP to institute these and ensure the recruitment process is solid.
And indeed, that is all you can take on your mails today. Keep sending your mails with your name and where you are writing from to politicalplatform@dagroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. The president will be meeting Bola Tinubu with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer today. The other events had been with the British monarch. You know, in United Kingdom, there's a separation of the office of the head of state and that of the government. Now, the head of state is the monarch, the king. He used to be Queen Elizabeth II. Now it's King Charles III. The head of state is ceremonial. He's non-partisan, does not get involved in politics in any way. And so stays there just a ceremonial head of government. It's all about ceremonies, such as we have seen since Tinubu arrived London, as it were. He will not make policy statements. He will not sign agreements. He will not hold bilateral talks. It's after the rolling out of the red rocks have finished today and all the ceremony. In fact, some people caught a picture of Senate President Akpabio being driven in a horse carriage, enjoying themselves as well. It's part of the ceremony because state visit is the highest form of diplomatic engagement between countries of the world. When it's state visit, it means the entire state is welcoming you, welcoming the other states. So all you have, you display your military. That's why you have military parade, gun salutes, and all that. So the role for the head of state has ended. But in Nigeria, the head of state serves as the head of government. So head of state to head of state finished. Since Tinubu is still the head of government, he will meet with the head of government in the United Kingdom, the British Prime Minister. That's where executive powers will meet executive powers. That's where agreements will be signed, negotiations will be held, and policy statements made.
You see, we have a long-standing relationship with the British, with Britain, the United Kingdom. There were sad eras, sad seasons, and our beautiful seasons. I divided it into two. Our first contact with them was when they came raiding our villages and cities, searching for slaves. And then they came, they returned, they became colonial adventurers, and for close to 65 years, they were in control of the nation today that is called Nigeria. And then we secured independence in 1960. Since then, we have remained and ensure a very fruitful, mutually beneficial relationship between us and Britain. I do hope that our concerns will be raised by the president when he meets the British Prime Minister. We also see what we can gain. There is already an agreement that was signed in 2024, if I'm correct, that was supposed to promote economic diplomacy, was supposed to promote defense cooperation, and I was supposed to strengthen cultural exchanges. I do hope that the talks will be fruitful and the president will return to Nigeria with a bag full of gains for the nation. My worry is that we should not allow ceremonial aspect to overtake the concern. Britain today, the area where they can, when we have a defense cooperation with them, and then what area are they coming to assist? Majority of our senior military officers who have retired now, and even the younger ones who are still in office today, trained in the British military institutions.
Sandhurst Military Academy.
Yeah,
elite
military institutions. And if you recall, the first protest in Nigeria after independence was the Anglo Defense Pact we signed with the
Anglo-Nigerian Defense Pact.
We signed with the British government. It was abrogated.
The pact would have enabled Britain maintain a military base there
in Nigeria.
And young Nigerians said, "No way,"
and it was halted. But I just hope there are some things we can take away from them, and I do hope that the president, I hope he's having a very big bag, so that he can take away all the gains and bring them back to the country.
All right. It's very interesting to see this development when you sit on the same table with your former, should I say, houseboy. Today we have sovereignty. We sit on the same table with our former colonial masters.
Apprentice.
Our former
and
apprentice,
the master.
Emeka, and now the Odogu.
The apprentice can overshadow the master and overgrow him at some point.
You give birth to a child, the child grows, becomes a man or becomes a woman. And it now tells you, "Mommy, sit here, daddy, sit here, daddy, let's talk, mommy, let's talk." That's what we are saying. And congratulations to Tinubu, 7 years after he's able to achieve this. Kudos to him. Over 1.4 trillion naira deals have been signed already in the initial area of livestock with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Agency and the UK body. And that is interesting. What the Balogu is saying, we need to see these things materialized. We need to see it change the life of Nigerians. We need to see it really implemented. No diversion of funds. And let it not be a charade. Let it not be a jamboree that they went to do there. Let's see it materialize. But one concern I have, Michi, if you permit me, is that some young men were massacred in 1949 in Ivali, miners.
Iva Valley in Enugu. Coal miners.
Yes, coal miners by the colonial police. And that case has been on for over 70 years. And there was a judgment that was passed. I hope the president will table the issue of the 420 million pounds the judge has asked the British government to pay the families of 21 coal miners.
Maybe our president should serve the judgment to the British Prime Minister.
If they have not been served, well, we hear that maybe they are going to appeal, but whether they appeal or not, I think it should be one item on the table of the president, because those families are still suffering at the death of their loved ones, of their breadwinners, as it were over 70 years ago.
Let's welcome Mujueje.
Thank you, Amechi. And along with that, yesterday, Barry Bodwin and I were discussing, and we talked about reparation. I think even the case of the coal miners, is part of that reparation. A whole lot of things were taken up by the British government out of Nigeria. And today, part of the problems that the country is going through is also attributable to some of those activities. I think that it would only be fair for the British government to do what is necessary. Reparation is something that is necessary. It wouldn't be fair to just,
Should we be shouting reparation, or should we sue them at the international?
Well, you discuss first.
What do you call it?
Yeah,
International Court of Justice.
Yes, at the Hague.
Mm.
We should institute a matter there.
No, I think that if you talk first, you need to talk first. If you talk and it doesn't work, then
MK Abiola
yes, that
talked for
was
decades.
one of his core
Yes.
mandates. In fact, that was one of the core things he was seeking, as when he wanted to contest the presidency. And then let's look at the area of Nigerian students in the UK. They are going through a lot of hard times. Most of the benefits have been taken away from them. Even Nigerian professionals in the UK, it's like we're treated as second-class citizens. Even at the airport, the embarrassment is much. We must seek to restore our dignity as a nation. The president's visit should be one to leverage on in this regard. Let our students school in peace. A man has a choice to send his children either to the UK or to anywhere he wants to. A child has a choice to say, Daddy, I want to school here. And if you can afford it, then go ahead. But you don't now begin to fleece us as a result of the fact that we're schooling in your country, depriving us of fundamental rights, if I may put it that way.
But they reserve the right to protect their country. They reserve the right to determine who they will admit on temporary basis, who they will give permanent residency, and who they will give their passport. Is within their rights.
No, see, I'm not even talking about the issue of permanent residency. For me, I've never had a desire to.
Issue of visa is their right to issue visa to anybody.
It's not even that. I'm talking about those schooling there. Those schooling there. A lot of things have been taken away from them. And they should be free to go through their studies without undue harassment, without undue levies, so to say. A whole lot of things are going on. My daughter's schooled there, so I know what I'm talking about. I think that the British government should be fair to Nigeria.
So should we hold the British government responsible for the well-being of Nigerian students there, or should we hold our government responsible to stop students from moving? When I was in school, students from other West African countries were investing with me. Shouldn't we hold our government responsible to say, make here better environment than UK?
That was the situation when we were in school. But what I am saying is, it is the fundamental right of a person to determine or decide where he wants to go to school, or for me as a parent to say, okay, maybe there's something I've seen in the British curriculum that I want my child to acquire.
That's the right.
Yes.
But it's also the right of Britain to determine whether you come in, how you come in, and the nature of your stay.
Yes, it is. But then I ask you, are those students who went in legally don't forget that they are usually screened from here by the British government before they are even given the student visa. Does it mean that in the course of screening, they didn't detect what they wanted? Some of those requisitions that they are making at this point in time, of course, they were thoroughly screened before going. So allow them. It is not right that after going through all of that, and then they go, and then this issue of treating us like second-class citizens.
Well, I understand. I understand what you mean,
Britain?
but
are those students a threat to their system? Nigerian students are among the brightest.
They have a right if they have a right to revoke your visa. Trump revoked visa, student visa, and send them packing. It's within their rank, right?
I'm saying it's within their right, but we are talking about gains from this visit. We can also leverage on our relationship with them, even our relationship as a former colonial masters, to get some gains from them. So don't forget that some of the crimes that they're accusing Nigerians about were actually taught Nigerians.
I understand perfectly what you're saying, but the ultimate to me is hold our leaders accountable so that we don't have need to travel out.
You're talking about the Japa people. I'm talking about genuine students. They're two different things.
Those that are documented migrants there. I'm also saying, yes, in as much as people have right to go, my right and my responsibility is to hold my government to account, to say you're not funding education, you're not churning out the right policies, because if it's not conducive, I enrolled for a 4-year program in university and I spent 6 years Because our governments failed in its responsibility. Now, so many people will say, I don't want to be like Amechi that will spend 6 years on a 4-year program and move outside the shores of the country. If we hold our governments responsible, 4-year program will be 4-year program, and I'll graduate with a degree that is revered and respected across the world. But it calls for funding, it calls for commitment, and it calls for dedication on the part of the government. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Day of Fitri. End your fast today, and the celebration actually starts tomorrow. Have a good time.